64. In 1 week, 1 3/4 inches, well, that's approximately 2. Rain fell on Monday. 2 2/3. Well, I rounded up, I'm going to round down to, that's approximately 2.5 inches fell on Tuesday. And 7/8 is approximately 1. So I have 2 plus 2.5, 4.5 plus 1. I should have an answer roughly 5.5. The closest answer is 5 7/24. That's my faster way to do it. Oops, I forgot the formal way. The formal way would be something like, well, I could break out the integers and the fractions. 1 plus 2 plus 0. And then to that, I would add the fractions. 3/4 plus 2/3 plus 7/8. I'm adding fractions, so that means I need to find a common denominator. Well, between 2, 3, and 8, that's going to be 24. So this becomes 3/4 expressed as an equivalent fraction over 24 is going to be 18/24. Plus 2/3 is 16/24. Plus 7/8 will be 21/24. In total, that will equal 18 and 16 is 34, plus 21 is 55/24, which is really, as a mixed number again, it's going to be 2, remainder 7, or 2 and 7/24. So I'll add 1 and 2 is 3, plus the 2 is 5, 5 and 7/24. That's the formal approach. Again, estimation can help you get there much more quickly with a vertical scan to get the answer. 70. The product of two positive integers is 65. Okay, what can I conclude from that? Well, they're integers, the product. Immediately, I think the concept is factors. What are the factors of 65? Well, it's 1 times 65, 5 times 13. Those are the only factors of 65. So my two positive integers must be one of these. Which number could be the sum of the two? Well, let's look at the sum of each of them. 1 plus 65 is 66. 5 plus 13 is 18. Now a vertical scan shows me only one of these answers is there. 18 is the correct answer. Again, knowing the true concepts and identifying it can be very helpful at the outset. 71. If n is an odd integer less than minus 3.25, what is the greatest possible value of n? So let's do a vertical scan. What do I have here? Well, on a number line, don't forget, anything to the left is less. Anything to the right is greater. So my number must be less than minus 3.25. In other words, it must be to the left on the number line. Well, minus 1, minus 2, and minus 3 are all to the right on the number line. They cannot be the answers. The only answer that's less than minus 3.25 is negative 5. I don't even have to worry about the greatest because there's not several among to choose among. It's just negative 5. It's the only thing that's less than minus 3.25. Again, your vertical answer, your vertical scan can be very helpful. And draw it out. Really helpful to see it on the number line. Number 74. Okay, I've got a table with excellent, good. I've got some numbers of buildings and percentages total. One number in the percentage column is incorrect. Which change needs to be made? Oh, boy. This is, if we look at it, the numbers are ugly. They're not easy numbers and percentages, or a number of buildings, or a total for that matter. So exact calculations without a calculator would be a nightmare here. Okay? We are going to use estimation, in this case, as our primary method of solving. I'm not even going to bother showing you the exact calculations. For all the rows, that would be terrible, ugly, and literally dump too much time on the problem. And one overriding rule of the exam is you don't want to invest too much time in any one problem. Skip it, move on. Pick the easy, low-hanging fruit first, and then come back to it if you have to. So let's do an estimation. 232 is roughly 240. 78 is roughly 80. 80 is 1/3 of 240. 33.6% is about 1/3. That looks good. So 69 is a little less than that by just more than 10%. Okay, that looks good too. 70 is basically the same thing, just a touch higher. That looks good. 11 over 6.7, so that's 1/5 of that. Is 11 1/5 of 70? No, it's not. That's a problem. So I think poor is going to be our answer. Let's just check dilapidated. Dilapidated, 4 to say 80, roughly, would be 20 times. So 20 times 1.7 will be 20, and then 14, that'll be about 34%. So notice I'm doing numbers quickly in my head. The better you can do your mental math, the faster you can work through estimates. The answer that's off here is poor. Estimation, very valuable tool. Joseph is 5'9" and Roberto is 6 feet 4.5 inches. What's the difference in height? Well, it's pretty easy. I just take the bigger number, I subtract the other, except we're not dealing in powers of 10. So students like to try and put this into decimal form and things like that. Don't do that. Remember, times and feet inches are not power of 10 conversions. Think about it. Let's set up a number line. Well, not really a number line, but let's say a ruler. Joseph is here at 5'9". On my ruler, I'd have 6 feet 0 inches. That'd be 3 inches away. And then Roberto, who's 6 foot 4.5 inches, is another plus 4.5 inches away. In total, he's 7.5 inches taller. Keep it in terms of the ruler, which deals with feet and inches. Right away, students get confused when we look at variables in terms of these ratio problems. They're very good with numbers. If I said 3 gallons are needed to drive 65 miles, how many gallons are needed to drive 130 miles? You would probably come back and say, oh, 130 is double 65, so I need to double 3. It'll be 6 gallons. But once you see M miles, your eyes glaze over in many cases. You wonder what the heck is going on. Well, one way to approach this is always to look at the per unit rate, the basic definition. So the basic definition I need to know is miles per gallon, right? And if I multiplied that by the number of gallons, then I would get the number of miles. So really this looks like miles divided by gallons. Okay, well, I have that ratio given to me in the problem. It's 65 miles per 3 gallons, okay? Now they're asking, well, wait, what if I drove M miles, not 65? It would be M divided by what amount of gas? It would be X, okay? And this would work out in our example before. If M were 135, then 135 would be double 65. It'd have to double 3, and X would be 6. This is the right proportion. I just need to solve for X. Let's cross multiply. 65X equals 3M. X equals, divided by 65 on both sides, 3M over 65. So again, looking at the per unit amount or the basic definition with the ratio given, we can see the correct answer is B, 3M over 65. Notice the numbers vary, 65 over 3, 3M. They're all different. And they can all be confusing unless you set it up exactly correct. So hopefully that will help you solve problems where we have ratios in variables, which often confuses students.